At the start of the series, we are deep in the woods. There is a small cabin out there, and the man living inside it is named Ish. He is a quiet, introverted geologist who chooses to live alone, spending his days searching for rocks. Today is no different. With his trusty hammer in hand, Ish heads to a cliff and gets to work, striking the stone until he finds what he is looking for. But the moment he lets his guard down, a snake lunges out from between the rocks and bites his hand. Ish immediately realizes it is venomous. He tries to call 911, but his phone slips and falls out of reach. Thinking fast, he punctures the bite, then tries to suck out the venom. He has no idea if it works, but within moments, he starts feeling dizzy and weak. Ish manages to stumble back to the cabin, but he only gets worse. He drinks a ton of water, collapses onto the bed, and before long, he passes out. Time goes by. When Ish finally wakes up, it looks like he survived. The wound on his hand has already started to heal. As he gets ready to leave, he notices his car is covered in grime, like there was a storm overnight. Ish does not think much of it, so he simply wipes it down. When he tries to start the car, it struggles at first, then finally turns over. Ish drives toward the city, but something feels off. The roads are empty, and he does not see a single car besides his own. He has no idea what is coming. This is Earth Abides. Ish pulls into a supermarket, and in the parking lot, he spots military vehicles, the kind that should normally be out on the streets. Even worse, there is a dead body lying out in the open, completely untouched. The deeper he looks, the more bodies he finds, along with more military trucks. Then he spots a news broadcast on a screen. A global pandemic has erupted, and the world has gone into quarantine. The second Ish understands what that means. He rushes straight to his parents' house. But when he arrives, the neighborhood is silent, and it looks like he is the only one left. Inside, the house is in chaos. In a bedroom, Ish finds his father dead on the bed. His emotions hit him all at once, and just a short distance away, he finds his mother's body too. Even through the shock, Ish decides his parents deserve a proper burial. He digs a grave large enough for both of them, working all day until it is already dark. After that, he sits alone in his old room, unable to do much of anything except stare into space. The next day, Ish walks through the city and sees cars abandoned everywhere. He steps into a church and finds even more bodies, people who came there in their final moments. Still, no matter how alone he is, he has to eat. Now he can take anything he wants from the supermarket, no money needed. And even after everything he has seen, Ish refuses to give up completely. He keeps searching, hoping there might still be someone else alive. But the bridge leading to the next city is blocked off with a barricade. Ish is overwhelmed and frustrated.
No! Wake the fuck up!
Yet he keeps going until he reaches an entertainment district. A casino hotel that should be packed with people is totally lifeless, even though the lights are still flashing. Ish goes inside. The place is empty, and strangely, there are no bodies anywhere. With no one around, he takes the chance to relax, even treating himself to a soak in the jacuzzi. Later, he casually heads to the hotel bar, assuming he is completely alone. But he is wrong. Two survivors are there, a woman named Anne and a man named Milton. They are not a couple. They were simply staying at the hotel when the pandemic hit. Anne explains that they are still alive for one reason: they are immune to whatever caused the outbreak. Ish, who was unconscious during the worst of it because of the snakebite, never even realized what had happened to the world. Milton shows Ish the news footage, revealing chaos unfolding across every country. The disease spread far too fast, moving quicker than any vaccine could ever stop. Anne shares that she even witnessed her own child die through a video call. Not every human is gone, but nearly all of them are. Around 99.9% of humanity has been wiped out. After taking it all in, Ish leaves the bar. Instead of finding a room, he ends up sleeping on the floor outside the elevator. The next morning, Ish goes looking for Milton and Anne, but they are hard to find. His search leads him into a room packed with expensive clothes where Anne is staying. Ish wonders what it feels like to be one of the last people alive on Earth. Anne explains that a beating heart does not always mean someone is truly living. She later brings Ish to a restaurant inside the hotel. Milton enjoys cooking, and with the hotel's food supplies, they can still have decent meals. While eating, Ish makes it clear that he does not plan to stay. Seeing how Anne and Milton have settled into this place makes him believe there could still be other survivors somewhere out there. Milton explains that as long as the power keeps running, they will have enough food for a few more weeks. He has no intention of struggling to survive once the supplies are gone and would rather choose the unthinkable than live that way. Ish has already made up his mind to move on. As he steps outside, he hears gunshots in the distance, and it becomes clear that Milton and Anne have chosen not to keep living like this. Ish continues his journey alone. Along the road, he comes across a dog that blocks his path. Ish decides to take the dog with him, giving it a name and a place by his side. He calls the dog Lucky. His next stop is the city library. Knowing the days ahead will be long and lonely, Ish gathers books on survival, along with others meant purely for entertainment. He can sleep in any house he wants, since every home is empty. The electricity is still running, powered by the dam. A year later, Ish has fully adjusted to life on his own. Nature is slowly reclaiming the world humans once ruled. The loneliness is heavy, but he refuses to give up. One day, he notices smoke rising from a chimney. Staying cautious, he heads over with his hammer in hand. Inside, he finds a woman named Emma holding a rifle. She has not seen another human in a very long time. Ish does not act threatening, and Emma allows him inside. Emma explains that she only moved into the house a few days earlier. The smoke comes from her making tea. She offers Ish a cup. For both of them, it is the first real human interaction in a long time. As they talk, Emma shares her background. Her father was a soldier, her mother a nurse. Growing up, she spent a lot of time camping and hunting, which taught her how to survive. Ish prepares to leave, but Emma asks him to stay a little longer. As they get to know each other, Ish asks why she chose this particular house. Emma explains that houses for sale usually do not have bodies inside. Ish mentions that his place is large and suggests that she could stay there with him. The next day, Ish takes Emma to his home. Once inside, Emma notices shelves filled with books, proof that Ish has been spending most of his time reading to pass the days. While Emma checks the backyard, Ish quietly cuts a rope he once prepared, a sign that he had previously considered the unthinkable. At the same time, Emma tells him that her food supplies have been attacked by rats. Together, they head to the supermarket to gather rat traps and other necessities. The store has everything they could possibly need, and for a moment, Ish thinks they might as well live there. But a supermarket is not a home. Ish has been surviving on canned food, which does not suit Emma, who knows how to hunt. Emma admits that she misses the sound of birds, saying the world has become far too quiet. From that point on, she and Ish begin working together to survive. Hunting and fishing become part of their routine. Even so, they realize this lifestyle cannot last forever. With Emma's help, they start growing their own food. Ish even builds a chicken coop, despite not owning a single chicken yet. Ish believes that if the coop is ready, the chickens will come eventually. As the world feels like it belongs only to the two of them, their bond naturally deepens. They are no longer focused on death. Instead, their concern shifts to sustaining life, securing electricity, water, and food for the future. While preparing to leave one day, Ish discovers his car is out of gas. He siphons fuel from a neighbor's vehicle, knowing he needs it to transport solar panels that will power his home. After spending so much time together, a new reality sets in. Emma is pregnant. Ish's first fear is how she will give birth without a hospital or a doctor. He also worries about whether he can protect his child. Emma reassures him that everything will be fine. Determined to be ready, Ish goes to the library to find books about childbirth. He wants to be a prepared father. He gathers supplies for Emma and the baby, carefully planning for what lies ahead. Around the same time, chickens finally appear, drawn by the coop and the feed. As months pass, Emma reaches the final stage of her pregnancy and begins craving meat. Until now, their meals have consisted of vegetables from the garden and eggs from the chickens. Ish decides to fulfill her request. Armed with a rifle, he heads to a cattle farm, believing that the pandemic only affected humans. With no experience hunting animals, he feels uncertain. Ish shoots a cow but fails to kill it with the first shot. He has to fire again to end its life. That turns out to be the easy part. The hardest task is cutting up the meat. Ish has read guides on how to do it, but reading and actually doing it are very different experiences. Covered in blood and fighting his own disgust, Ish pushes through for the sake of his child. One cow is enough to last them a long time, as long as they have refrigeration. Fortunately, Ish manages to get the solar panels running just in time, allowing the refrigerator to preserve the meat. Later, Emma shows Ish a rat she has trapped. It is enormous, nearly the length of a shoebox. To Emma, it is clear that the rat problem is far more serious than they first thought. That night, the smell of fresh beef draws countless rats toward their house. Emma and Ish are forced to fight back against what feels like thousands of them. Ish grabs a large chunk of meat and burns it, hoping to drive the rats away. There are simply too many, so they retreat inside the house.
We need to seal the house. Go inside.
The rats keep trying to break in, gnawing at anything they can. It becomes a long, exhausting night spent hiding from the swarm, but somehow they make it through.
You rat fuck!
As the rat population grows, cats begin to appear as well, hunting them down. Time moves forward into the second year after the pandemic, and Emma's due date draws closer. Gradually, the rat problem fades away. Before long, a new challenge arrives. It is time for Emma to give birth. Thanks to all his preparation, Ish is able to help her through it, and a baby girl is born. They name her Heather. Having a child brings new color and purpose into Emma and Ish's lives. One day, Emma leaves written messages behind, explaining where they live, inviting any survivors to come to a place called San Lupo. The story then jumps ahead to the 6th year after the pandemic. Ish is out in the forest when he accidentally hits something with his vehicle. When he checks, he finds a young mountain lion. The animal is still alive but badly hurt. Not wanting it to suffer, Ish prepares to end its pain. At that moment, he notices movement deeper in the forest. It has been so long since he has seen another person that Ish immediately follows. He catches up to a young girl named Evie. Ish tries to convince Evie to come with him, but she is too afraid. He decides not to force her and tells himself he will wait in his car, giving her the choice to come along if she wants. When Ish returns to his vehicle, the injured mountain lion is gone. Just as he promised, he waits inside the car. Not long after, Evie's curiosity gets the better of her, and she approaches. Ish invites her into the vehicle and offers her an apple. Evie agrees to come with him, though she chooses to sit in the back rather than the front. Ish brings Evie back to San Lupo. By this time, Heather has a younger brother named Alex. Emma is immediately worried that Ish may have taken Evie away from her family. Evie does not speak, and it is clear that her body is covered in wounds. Inside the house, it becomes clear that Emma and Ish are no longer alone. By the 6th year, their community has grown. A man named Jorge has joined them, along with his wife, Maureen. They talk about Evie, knowing how hard it must be for a child to survive alone. That struggle may explain why Evie refuses to speak. Evie remains defensive toward Ish and the others, hesitant even to climb down from the back of the vehicle. The next day, Evie still refuses to go inside the house. She even sleeps on top of the car, choosing the open air over the safety of her room. Worried about her, Maureen approaches Evie to bring her some food. Evie reacts defensively and grabs Maureen's hand. That is when Maureen notices the scars, cigarette burn marks covering Evie's skin. In that moment, she realizes Evie is a victim of abuse. Trying to earn her trust, Maureen shows Evie that she understands her pain. She allows Evie to touch her hair, a quiet way of proving that she means no harm and wants to protect her. Maureen shares that she also arrived in San Lupo as a stranger once. Together, Maureen and Jorge walk through the area and come across old messages Emma left years ago, signs meant to guide survivors to San Lupo. Maureen gives Evie space, letting her bathe on her own unless she asks for help. After everything she has endured, the pandemic and the abuse, Evie carries deep trauma that shapes her every reaction. Meanwhile, Ish and Jorge head into the forest where Ish first found Evie. They want to know whether she lived alone or with her parents. Deep in the woods, they discover an abandoned cabin. Inside, Ish finds disturbing drawings scattered across the floor, signs that something terrible once happened there. Beyond that, they find nothing else. Back in San Lupo, while Evie is bathing, Maureen carefully checks her bag. Inside, she finds a notebook filled with drawings, the kind made by a child carrying heavy emotional wounds. She also finds a folded piece of paper. Soon after, Evie finishes bathing and is given clean clothes. She is shown to a room where she can finally rest in peace. Later, Maureen gathers with Ish, Jorge, and Emma. She reads the letter she found in Evie's bag. It was written by Evie's mother, addressed to whoever might find her child. In it, she explains that Evie's father repeatedly abused her. The pain became so severe that Evie stopped speaking altogether. When the pandemic struck, Evie's parents died, leaving her completely alone. After hearing everything, they all agree that Evie should stay in San Lupo. Time passes, and Emma gives birth to her third child, a baby boy named Joey. More time goes by, and the story moves into the 7th year after the pandemic. One day a bell rings, something that has never happened before. The sound immediately puts Ish on edge. Ish, Emma, and Jorge head into the forest to investigate where the bell came from. They fear it could be Evie's family coming to take her back. In the woods, Emma raises her rifle toward a figure she spots. Moments later, another woman appears. Her name is Molly, and she also has a rifle aimed at Emma. Ish steps forward and raises his weapon as well. Not long after, 2 more people step forward, making it clear they only want to prevent Emma from shooting a child. Once everyone is certain no one intends to harm a child, the weapons are slowly lowered. Standing behind Molly are a married couple named Ezra and Jean. They have a young son named Raif, who is the same age as Heather. Ish remains extremely cautious, but they are eventually allowed to enter San Lupo. Morin wonders if they came because of Evie, but it becomes clear they do not even know who she is. Just like Morin and Jorge, they found San Lupo by following the messages Emma left behind years ago. It also turns out that Jean was once a fairly well-known musician. Emma wants them to stay, but Ish does not trust them at all. Emma reminds him that he once doubted Morin and Jorge too, and they later proved to be kind and invaluable. Ish privately suspects that Ezra, a former club promoter, and Jan, a singer, might be drug users, though there is no real proof. Emma believes they can be useful, especially since Molly is a doctor. She also thinks Heather would benefit from having a friend her own age. The next day, Ish takes all the adults except Emma on a supply run. Their main goals are food and detergent. Molly asks to look for medicine, but Ish insists that pharmacies are already empty and they cannot afford to waste time. Along the way, their path is blocked by a bison, forcing them to split into 3 groups. Ish and Ezra search a store together and manage to collect canned food that is still safe to eat. Jean ends up alone, even though she was supposed to stay with Molly. Instead, Molly breaks away and heads to a hospital, directly ignoring Ish's instructions. After some time, the scavenging ends and everyone prepares to regroup. Ezra finds a guitar and gives it to Jean, knowing she is a musician. One person is still missing. Molly has not returned and is still at the hospital. There she discovers a hidden storage room filled with medical supplies. Molly eventually comes back late, carrying a large sack of medicine. Ish is angry at first, but Molly explains that she knew the hospital had a second medicine storage room. Thanks to that risk, San Lupo now has a complete medical supply. That night, everyone gathers after a long day of scavenging. With Jean there, the evening feels lighter as music fills the air around the campfire. Late into the night, everyone goes to sleep, except for Jean. She continues drinking alone until morning. At dawn, Molly finds Jean in terrible condition. It becomes clear that Jean has missed her period and is terrified of being pregnant again. She drank heavily all night, hoping to end the pregnancy. Molly steps in to calm her, reassuring her that everything will be okay. As time passes, Ish begins to realize that Ezra, Molly, and Jean are not as bad as he first believed. He finally agrees to let them stay in San Lupo. John does not lose the baby and decides to care for the pregnancy. Around the same time, Maureen also becomes pregnant. Eventually, Jorge and Morin welcome their first child into the world. 7 more years pass, bringing the timeline to 14 years after the pandemic. Today is Heather's birthday, celebrated together with Raif. Even after all these years, Evie still has not spoken. Joey seems a lot like her. His favorite place is the library, where he often spends time reading books alongside Ish. Outside, heavy rain has been falling for 17 straight days, forcing everyone to stay indoors as the storm continues. At some point, Heather notices that Lucky, their dog, is not inside the house. Ish goes looking for him, but Lucky is nowhere to be found. When Ish checks outside, he sees a fallen tree. Lucky has been crushed beneath it. Lucky was already very old, and in many ways, it was his time. Still, the loss hits Ish hard. Lucky was the companion who stayed with him the longest after the pandemic began. One day, Ish and Jorge are busy working on something. Ish steps outside to check on Evie and Joey, who are playing nearby. At that exact moment, Ish spots an adult mountain lion. Without hesitation, he puts himself in harm's way. The animal attacks him brutally and drags him into the forest. Somehow, the mountain lion does not kill or eat him, allowing Ish to be rescued and brought back to San Lupo. Ish is still alive, but his injuries are severe. Molly, the group's doctor, leads the effort to save him. Despite his critical condition, Ish survives. As time passes, Ish slowly recovers. He makes it through the worst phase and eventually manages to walk again, even though the pain never fully goes away. 3 more years pass, and the story moves into the 17th year after the pandemic. San Lupo now resembles a fortress, complete with watchtowers. Joey often spends his days fishing and catching lobsters. Ish cares deeply for Joey and spends a lot of time with him. Alex, on the other hand, feels lonely. Heather now spends most of her time with Rafe. Having grown up together and being the same age, Heather and Rafe have fallen in love. They explore the city together, curious about a world they never knew. Life before the pandemic is something they cannot even imagine. Heather becomes increasingly curious about what lies beyond San Lupo and wants to travel with Rafe. Eventually, they manage to convince their parents to let them leave. They will be gone for a long time, but not forever. After a few weeks, they plan to return. For the first time ever, someone is leaving San Lupo. At the same time, the community faces a drought. Their gardens begin to dry up, and the water supply stops flowing. Ish, Ezra, and Joey inspect the dam and discover that it has completely dried out. The pipes are rusted and falling apart, and it becomes clear that the dam can no longer be relied on. Then, something unexpected happens. They spot a car moving in the distance. Ish and Joey immediately become alert, since it has been 10 years since they last saw someone new. Ish quickly returns to San Lupo to warn everyone that they have seen another person. Not long after, the stranger they spotted follows them all the way back to San Lupo. The leader of the group is a man named Charlie. He travels with his partner, Perry. Charlie quickly learns that San Lupo is suffering from a severe water shortage, and he offers his help. Charlie's group consists of several adults, but Ish does not trust him. To prove his value, Charlie shows that he has equipment capable of drilling a well. He offers to help find water in exchange for food and a place to rest. Unlike Ish, Emma is not immediately suspicious, and she welcomes the group in. Ish asks how long it will take to find water. Charlie estimates that 3 days should be enough. Ish agrees to the deal. Once water is found, Charlie will be given supplies and fuel, so his group can continue their journey. Without wasting time, Charlie begins drilling. Later, Ish and Charlie go hunting together in the forest. They spot a deer, and without warning, Charlie shoots it from behind Ish.
Fuck! Haha.
The deer becomes their shared dinner that night. As the night grows late, only Ish and Charlie remain by the campfire. Charlie reveals his worldview. To him, the world belongs only to the strong, while the weak are meant to fall behind. Survival, in his mind, grants ownership over everything. The next day, Charlie continues searching for water. Ish openly admits that he still does not trust him. Emma brushes this off, saying Ish has always struggled to trust new people. Still, Ish grows more uneasy, especially when he notices the way Charlie looks at Evie. On the third day, just as Charlie promised, water is finally found in San Lupo. The drought problem is solved. Even so, Ish's distrust does not fade. He wants Charlie to leave, but Charlie makes it clear that he would rather stay. That night, the community celebrates the return of water. Nearly everyone praises Charlie except Ish, who remains deeply unsettled. During the celebration, Charlie discreetly signals to his companion, Silas. Hours later, Ish cannot sleep. The settlement is quiet, and it seems like everyone else is resting. Then he hears movement behind him. When he investigates, he finds Silas standing outside Evie's room. Moments later, Charlie emerges from inside. Alarmed, Ish immediately checks on Evie and discovers that she has just been assaulted by Charlie. Ish brings this to the others, many of whom initially struggle to believe it. Molly examines Evie and confirms what happened. The truth enrages Ish. Morin is equally furious, having already begun to see Evie as her own child. Ish insists that they cannot stay silent and must take action. Emma admits that she was wrong about Charlie. Ish believes that simply forcing Charlie to leave is not enough. He knows Charlie could always return. In his mind, there is only one solution left: to kill him. The decision to take a human life is not made lightly. A vote is held, and everyone must agree. Jorge initially refuses, unable to accept the idea of killing another person. After a long and painful debate, he finally agrees. The responsibility falls to Ish. Ish later confronts Charlie at his van and tells him to leave. Instead, Charlie insults Emma and mocks Ish, believing he is not strong enough to follow through. Charlie is wrong. Using his hammer, Ish strikes Charlie and kills him. The next day, no one knows about Charlie's death except Ish and the others closest to him. They understand that only Charlie and Silas were truly dangerous. Perry is given the choice to stay if she wants. The same offer is extended to the rest of Charlie's group except for Silas. They can either leave with Silas or remain in San Lupo. Everyone chooses to stay. In the end, Silas is the only one left who shares Charlie's cruelty, which means he has to leave San Lupo alone. The people who once traveled with Charlie never truly liked him or Silas, but fear kept them silent. Silas does not resist and leaves. Not long after, he returns, begging for a second chance. He hands his knife to Ish as proof that he is not a threat. Ish cannot forgive him and refuses to change his decision. He gives the knife back, believing Silas will need it on the road. With Charlie and Silas gone, San Lupo finally finds peace again. 3 years pass, and the story moves into the 20th year after the pandemic. Today, Joey is about to show everyone a device he built himself. Joey is clearly intelligent and loves inventing things. What he has created is a flying device, though it has never been tested. Because of his talent, Joey often receives most of Ish's attention, which leaves Alex feeling overlooked. Still, the day turns into a celebration, with food and a small party held in Joey's honor. That night, Joey starts feeling unwell and develops a fever. Ish assumes it is nothing serious at first, but in the middle of the night, Joey collapses after reaching Ish in Emma's room. His condition is far worse than expected, leaving him weak and barely conscious. Ish goes to find Molly, who is already caring for others who are sick. Molly explains that the illness is the same disease that once killed 99.9% of humanity. For people who are immune, it poses little danger. But for children born after the pandemic, like Joey, immunity is not guaranteed. Time passes, and Joey's condition does not improve. At the same time, Heather returns after being away for 3 years. She comes back alone, without Rafe. Ish feels completely helpless as a father. He cannot bring himself to simply sit and wait. Determined to do something, he decides to cross the bridge barricade he has never passed before. Riding a bicycle, he searches the other side for anything that might help. He finds no one. Eventually, he reaches a hospital and begins searching for medicine. Inside the hospital, Ish steps into the chapel. He has never been a religious man, but desperation pushes him to pray for Joey's survival. Back in San Lupo, Heather explains to Ezra and John how she returned alone, without Rafe. After leaving San Lupo, she and Rafe traveled north. They found no one and ended up staying by the coast for a long time. They knew they should have gone back sooner, but they were happy, and time slipped away. Every city they passed through was empty. Strangely, they kept seeing numbers and arrows painted everywhere. The signs appeared so often that they decided to follow them. No matter how far they went, the arrows never led them anywhere. Eventually, they chose to sleep in high places, hoping to get a better view of the world around them. After giving up on finding other survivors, they decided to return to San Lupo. Along the way, they finally encountered someone. That person turned out to be Silas. Rafe fought back, and Silas killed him with the knife Ish had once returned to him. Overcome with anger, Heather killed Silas in return. Rafe's wounds were too severe to survive. Heather could not bring his body with her, so she buried him under a pile of stones. After that, she made the journey back to San Lupo alone. Not long afterward, Ish returns from the hospital. He plans to give Joey his own blood, hoping it might make Joey immune. Heather believes it is already too late and tries to calm Ish. Time passes. Not everyone who falls ill dies. Some survive, but others do not. One of those who does not make it is Joey. The loss devastates Ish. Even though he never said it out loud, Joey had been his favorite child. Emma cannot accept how consumed Ish becomes by his grief, acting as if Joey was his only child. There is nothing they can do to bring Joey back, and Ish needs to focus on Alex and Heather, who are still alive. Hearing this forces Ish to face the truth. He realizes he was wrong and understands that he has to move forward. Life is not over yet. A year later, the story reaches the 21st year after the pandemic. Ish decides to go through Joey's belongings. Among them, he finds notebooks filled with blueprints for inventions Joey dreamed of building. One design stands out, a radio meant to contact other survivors. Joey had already drawn every component needed. Seeing this, Ish decides to fulfill Joey's wish and build the radio. They begin testing codes and signals, searching for anyone else who might still be alive. Ish scans every frequency, but no one responds. They do not rush things. Instead, they spend time together, playing a simple game of baseball in the park and enjoying small moments, even with very little. While calling out the score, Heather suddenly remembers a number she had seen painted across many cities. She never understood what it meant, but Ish does. Ish rushes back to the radio. He realizes the number Heather kept seeing could be a radio frequency. Over and over, he broadcasts on that channel, hoping someone will answer. After a long wait, a response finally comes. There is another community out there. They are less than 100 miles away, living near the coast and surviving as fishermen. Ish decides he will go to them. The story then jumps forward to 50 years after the pandemic. Ish is now very old. He passes his hammer down to Heather's grandchild. It is a symbol that his time has come to an end. San Lupo eventually joins the new community, and humanity continues on. Against all odds, people survive. And with that, the story comes to a close. So the moral of the story is, if a snake bites you and you wake up to an empty world, just adopt a dog, build a chicken coop with 0 chickens, and never give a creepy, helpful guy your address.